Hi, and welcome back to Purple Collar Life. In today's Purple Collar video, we're doing some work here in the great room. About 10 years ago, we had an ice dam that created a leak in the roof that came down through this corner, against the wall, and underneath the carpet. Now, it only leaked one time. We've figured out a remedy for that issue by adding the heated lines up above on the eaves so that when the ice starts to accumulate before it makes an ice dam, we keep that moisture and water flowing through the gutter and down the downspouts. But here we are 10 years later. We were going to put in some hardwood flooring, rip out this carpet, and repaint this room. And you can see we've got some drywall work that's done here to fix that corner. And then we're now getting to the flooring, and then taking out the carpet and the padding, we've discovered an issue. So here's the area we started working in. You can see the drywall's done here. This was the worst spot. What we did was we created a valley in between two roofs, and we added this addition on, and the ice damming formed right here, flowed down this corner and flowed down this wall, actually made a bubble right here where it was leaking water out. Then it came down, and we can see it got the carpet wet. You can actually see on this really good padding, this is spill guard padding, but you can see where the moisture was by the color change.
Which is actually worse than what we had thought it was.
Yeah, because if I remember right, the carpet was wet like maybe this corner. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize that it was all the way out to here.
Well, we did pay a company to come
right
and check to see if we had water damage or mold, and they said we were in good shape.
Yep. So now we are 13 years later. We just checked the pictures from before, and here's what we're looking at underneath this padding. So when I first started pulling this up yesterday, I immediately thought I would have to cut out this subfloor and replace it. This is OSB subfloor. You can see it looks like we've got black mold all along here. The bottom of the padding looks like it's all covered with black mold. So my initial instinct was to cut this all out. But then I went downstairs, and the underside of all this OSB doesn't even look like it was ever wet. Looks really solid. I did a test comparing a completely dry section, like how much it pokes, to here, and this does seem to poke a little bit easier right on this edge, but it's still pretty solid. So I think our plan is, and we may still have to replace it, but our first initial effort is going to be to clean off the black mold, use a mixture that Jennifer's working on of some white vinegar and water, 50-50, and then we'll let that soak in, dry off, and then if it looks like it's clean enough, I'll run some new screws down in where it's starting to peel up right in this joint right here. And then we'll cover it with KILZ, and we're actually going to be putting underlayment underneath our new hardwood flooring. So we're going to have multiple layers of flooring here on top of this if we can get this black mold eradicated. So first I'm going to cut the padding all out of here. We're going to get rid of that, and then we're going to work on this black mold.
And we didn't anticipate any of this, but I'm glad that because we're putting in the hardwood floor, we at least know that this was there.
Yep, and I can see underneath here, the other thing I was worried about was the bottom plate of the wall, but it looks like it's all solid as I look. I can see water marks on it where it was wet.
It doesn't look like there's any mold on it.
No, the 2x4 all looks like it's solid. So we're gonna get to work.
So here you can see Jennifer was doing the painting over top of that area. It cleaned up really nicely, so she was able to cover that with the KILZ paint. We had moved everything off of the section of carpet to start pulling out all the strips, those tack strips, and then as you can see the drywall repair continued along the cracks along the top of the peak, and the area was prepped for paint. This does have a pretty tall cathedral ceiling in it, so we let the professionals handle the painting. You can see they brought in scaffolding, covered everything up, which kept it nice and clean in the area, considering how much paint we were doing. Used good quality Behr paint in a Whisper White color. You can see the walls weren't dark, but you'll see a huge difference. Ceiling's all done. Everything's all covered up and protected. Getting started on the paint on the walls now. First coat's on, looking good. There's some spots you can see through. If I go in front of this light, you can kind of see the old color in some of those spots. But the second coat will take care of that. The first coat's the hardest. Getting the kitchen done here also. And back the hallway. We've got lots of windows in this space, so we love looking out and seeing the wildlife outside and the trees. A little bit brighter paint just makes the whole room even brighter. Than you can see looking into the room here. After that first coat, you can still see through it, but it's really making a difference already on how bright it is. There's post when the walls are all white. See, the corner turned out great where we had the damage previous. The walls look nice and clean and white. And you're getting a little preview of what the space looks like with the underlayment on top of that subfloor. There'll be a future video about that. Make sure you click the subscribe button to follow along on this project as we put hardwood here in the living room, replacing the carpet. We also replaced all of the overhead recessed lights. So make sure you check out our next video, which will be about the process of installing that luan or underlayment over top of the subfloor and the proper direction to do that.